I always tell people not to buy a brand new DPF without understanding what has caused it to fail in the first place. But they do anyhow, and they end up having issues, right? They end up having a DPF, a brand new DPF that works for a short period of time, maybe 2 weeks, a month, or sometimes it doesn't work at all, right? We've heard people having such scenarios, and in this video, I decided to talk about this issue so that at the end of the day, you don't end up being like them, right? Welcome to this episode. My name is Cromwell, and I'm going to be taking you through some of the reasons that has caused your DPF to fail. And I believe this is important for you to understand, because at the end of the day, if you don't understand that, you might end up wasting money, you might end up having sleepless nights, right? So first of all, let's start by explaining what a DPF is, right, and how it is working. So typically a DPF is a system that has been implemented on vehicles which have got, on diesel vehicles, they are perceived to be vehicles that are polluting the environment. Hence, they need to put that filter on the exhaust so that the amount of pollution that gets into the atmosphere is limited, okay? So what ends up happening is that they fail, right? Those DPF systems end up failing, right? So now the question that you should ask yourself before you decide to buy a brand new DPF is, why has that DPF failed? Now, this is a very important and very key question. Like I said, if you have not answered that question before you click that checkout button or that add to cart button or that buy button, you are really going to be in some big trouble, okay? I have seen people buying, having bought a brand new DPF for a Toyota Land Cruiser. I remember one time one guy bought it for like $6,000, right? A 2014 Toyota Land Cruiser. They put that brand new DPF and it works for 2 weeks and the problems have come back again. I have also seen another person spending $2,000, almost $3,000 on a brand new DPF for a 2014 Toyota RAV4, and they had problems within a short period of time. I think probably 3 weeks. And I've seen the same for Toyota Hiace, where someone buys a brand new DPF for $1,400 and it only works. In fact, it never worked at all, right? So we have seen those scenarios before, right? And all that boils to the owners not understanding exactly why the DPFs have failed in the first place. So there are three reasons why these DPFs are failing, okay? So the first one is going to be your driving habit, okay? So the thing with these vehicles with diesel particle filters, they do not like people who use them for short distances. You understand that? The reason why they don't like you to use them for short distances is because that exhaust is supposed to get hot enough. That exhaust is supposed to be allowed enough time for it to deal with the soot that is accumulating inside of that diesel particle filter, right? So if you're driving only short distances, like for example myself, I live 6 kilometers outside of town. So if I'm going to the office, I'm just driving 6 kilometers in the morning and 6 kilometers at the end of the day when I'm coming back. So I don't exactly give it enough time for that diesel particle filter to achieve its goal, which is to burn the soot and reduce the emission and so forth. So it requires, usually these diesel cars require you to drive a good 30 minutes on highway conditions, right? That way the exhausts get hot enough and are able to clean up and deal with the soot that is accumulating inside the diesel particle filter, right? So that's number one, your driving habit. That's the reason why that's the one thing that causes them to fail. The second thing is an issue to do with your air to fuel ratio mixtures, right? If they're incorrect, there's going to be a problem, right? When I mean incorrect, I'm saying that your air is less, right, and your diesel is more. So at the end of the day, you've got that situation where black smoke, you remember vehicles from a long time ago from 2003, whereby if your air is less and diesel is more, you are seeing black smoke being puffed from the exhaust. So that's the situation that's going to be happening, but this time you won't be seeing it through your exhaust because the filter is there. It will just be accumulating inside that DPF, right? So usually some of the things that cause your air to fuel ratio mixture to be incorrect is maybe your sensors are not giving correct information, maybe there is a burst boost pipe, maybe your turbo isn't working properly, or maybe your injectors have got an issue where they are just malfunctioning and putting in so much diesel, or there could be an issue with your exhaust gas recirculation valve, right? So those are some of the issues that may mess up your air fuel ratio mixtures, right? And at the end of the day, you'll find out that your DPF clogs far much faster, right? And your vehicle fails to actually reduce the clogginess of that DPF, right? It really fails because it's clogging far much faster than it can really deal with that situation. So those are some of the situations. And the third one, and this one usually happens in third world countries where I am from. I am from Africa. We are from Africa. In fact, our company is in Africa. And you'd find out that the fuel here in Africa is horrible quality. So at the end of the day, because we've got horrible quality of fuel, it means that the exhaust fumes is going to have contaminants that are just going to stick inside that DPF. So at the end of the day, that DPF is just going to fail, right? You start to see error codes that have to do with your your diesel particle filter failing, right? So those are mainly the three issues that cause your DPF to fail. Now, if you go ahead and buy a brand new DPF without addressing those three main issues, right, you're going to have a situation where you're going to buy that DPF twice, 3 times, or even 4 times. And by the way, like I said before, a DPF is not something that you're supposed to buy on a daily basis. It's not something that you're supposed to buy at all, so to say, right? It's something that is supposed to last the lifetime of the vehicle. And when you see yourself buying a DPF, I assure you that sometime in the future, you are going to have to buy another one again, unless you deal with the causes that have brought you to this point of wanting to buy a brand new DPF, right? So if, for example, you're in an African country, right? Here in Africa, we do not have those emission laws, right? And because we don't have those emission laws, you have got many options, right? Many options on the table, right? Which you can really pursue. Now, I think in another video which is going to follow, I'm going to talk about all the options that are available, which you can pursue without having to buy a brand new DPF, right? And hopefully, with those options, you may be able to pick and see which one is best for you, right? But in terms of those folks which are in Europe, you only have mainly 2 options, which is, your regeneration, and if that fails, you really have to buy a brand new DPF. There is no 2 ways about it. But before you buy a brand new DPF, like I said, you have to make sure that you have understood what has caused your DPF to fail in the first place. Because if you don't understand that, and if you don't address those issues, you are just going to have a problem of the DPF failing again and again, and you have to buy it so many times. Now, obviously, like I said, here in Africa, due to the quality of fuel that we have, you don't have a choice. You're just in Africa. There's no 2 ways about it. You cannot change the quality of your fuel to be the same as the one that is from Europe or from Japan, right? You can't change the quality of the fuel, right? But for the folks which are in your European country, you can change your driving habits, right? And you can also work on the air to fuel ratio of your air to fuel mixture of your vehicle, and figure out exactly what is causing your air to fuel ratio to be incorrect. Now, with well-trained technicians, that shouldn't be a problem, right? If you've got a well-trained technician, they should be able to find out exactly what is causing your air to fuel ratio to be incorrect. Okay? So I guess that's all I wanted to say, right? I also encourage you to check out the video which we produced, whereby we were talking about why you shouldn't keep driving your vehicle the moment that you see that it has got a DPF malfunction. Okay, thank you very much for watching.